Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about top 10 champions that has the hardest hitting AoE ability in this game. So by that, this list doesn't necessarily mean that is the top 10 nuker in this game. It is completely different. This is just an educational video which I want to show you guys some champions that hits incredibly hard. So spoiler ahead, Tronda is actually not number 1. There are some champions that hits harder than Tronda in terms of AoE damage, and obviously it does not include any enemy max HP skills, and it does not include any secret skills. So a champion like Baron is not going to be on this list. So anyways, it's going to be a fun one, and let's get into it. Alright, so for the number 10 champion on this list, it's actually going to be a champion which I talked about a lot on my channel, and it's one of my favorite nuker at this time. So it's going to be Soulless. A defensive nuker. His A3 has a 4.9 damage multiplier. So I was just doing some math comparing Soulless damage to Ignatius. After doing some math, the conclusion is Soulless actually hits a little bit harder than Ignatius because of his base defense. This is a very high base defense. The problem of Ignatius is even though Ignatius has the highest damage multiplier in the game in terms of defensive nuking skill, but his base defense is just so low. 1266 as a legendary defensive base champion, it's not good enough. So Ignatius is not going to be on this list. Instead, Soulless is going to be number 10 on this list. Alright, so for the number 9 on this list, it's going to be a champion which I also made a video about. There's a high elf legendary champion, Yannick. A spirit affinity nuker which used to be very solid, but after some new patch, she just kind of got nerfed indirectly, but she still has very good damage. So her A3 here has a 4.2 multiplier, and look at the book. Like, I think this skill has very good book value because it's like 10%, 10%, 10%. Like usually a lot of champions has like 5% damage increase for each book. So this is a very solid champion. If you don't have these type of god tier arena nuker, she is definitely can be one of your go-to choice. And for the number 8 on this list, it's gonna be another defensive based nuker, which is gonna be the last defensive nuker on this list. That is a Demon Spawn legendary champion, Dragstar. Basically a free champion for every player. If you can play a 3v3 arena and you play this game for 100 days, you will just get him for free, right? So I know a lot of people just don't build him as damage dealer. I think including me, I just build him with lifesteal gear and just have him to deal with spiders in the Doom Tower. But he actually has very good damage multiplier. Like this one is the hardest hitting defensive based nuking skill in this entire game. Like this has a 5.2 damage multiplier, and he also has very solid base defense. So this one hits harder than Soulless. If you don't have this god tier nuker, you can definitely try him out, especially he's a free legendary. Alright, so for the next champion, it's gonna be a Sacred Order legendary, which probably nobody talks about. That is Abyss. I think she used to be very bad, and she received a major buff end of last year, I believe, and now she is definitely viable. She does a lot of damage. I think some content creators already made a video about her. So anyways, she's a very solid right now. Her A2 is a defense down, and this hits hard, but the skill I'm talking about is her A3. This has a very decent damage multiplier, and it has some special effect as well. So extra 30 crit damage if the target's attack is highest, and ignore 30% of target defense. So like if the enemy has the highest defense, like this is gonna hit super hard with this 30% ignore defense. That's why she is on this list, and she can definitely be a good nuker on your account. And for the number 6 on this list, it's gonna be a Void legendary, which is probably a little bit tougher to get. That is Ethos. Also a very old school champion. I think he was released when Raid first came out, so a very old school champion, and the skill I'm talking about is his A3. This has a 4.4 damage multiplier. Maybe it doesn't look that crazy, but this is always gonna be critical hits. So which means you don't necessarily have to build him with 100% crit rate. So you can build him with insanely high attack or insanely high crit damage, and this is gonna hit super hard. But like, but personally, I feel like as a Void Affinity Legendary champion, he still doesn't hit hard enough. Like as a Void Legendary attack-based nuker, he should be like top 3 on this list. So, but anyways, still a very solid champion, very good multiplier, and very good base attack. Alright, and now let's move on to the top 5 champion that has the hardest hitting AoE ability in the game. The number 5 is gonna be a very popular champion in Arena, that is Kendrick. So that's why like this list is not gonna be top 10 nukers in Arena. If I make a video about top 10 nukers in Arena, Kendrick is definitely gonna be number 2, right besides Tronda. But this is just me talking about pure damage. So his A2 here has a 3.7 damage multiplier, so it doesn't have like crazy damage multiplier. And look at the book. Like I was just talking about Yannick's book value, right? Yannick, every book is gonna give her ability like 10% damage increase. But look at this book value, 5% each. But you still gotta book him because he's a very solid champion. And the skill that actually gives him damage is the passive. So this is gonna give him straight 40% increased damage if he's in Veil. So this actually hits harder than Ethos. And yeah, I don't think I need to talk more about this champion. He's already very well known, and he is definitely the number 2 nuker for Arena in this game. And now for the number 4 pick, it's probably gonna be a champion that a lot of players already forgotten about. That is a Dark Elf legendary, Ray. She is very solid. Like I still remember, I got her like, I think it's January 2020. It was from a summoning tournament, which you can get a reward if you are placed on number 1 of your tournament group. So I was just kind of wailing out and got Ray, and I only have 1 Ray on my account. So the skill I'm talking about, well, all her skills have very good damage multiplier. Her A3 here is a 5.3 damage multiplier, and it can remove all buffs. But this is not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about this A2. Like this hits crazy hard, especially if against targets under debuffs. 50% increased damage is a lot. It has base multiplier of 4.3, and if the target has any debuffs and you book this skill, it's gonna be like around 8.4 damage multiplier, which hits insanely hard. That's why she is number 4 on this list. So if you have Ray and you're looking for decent nuker, she is definitely the choice you should go with. Alright, so finally we're at top 3. The number 3 is probably gonna be a surprise for a lot of people, because I think 99% of people believe that she is the best nuker in this game, which she is. But there are champions that hits harder than her in this game. So, well, number 3 is Tronda, a super popular champion. Look at the reviews. She is the best nuker in Arena right now. Her A3 has a 6 damage multiplier. Technically it's a 3 because but it's a 2 hit, so it's a 6 damage multiplier. And obviously you're gonna book her up, and it's gonna give this skill 30% more damage, and it's going to have a 7.8 damage multiplier after book, and she has one of the highest base attack in the entire game. That makes her the number 1 Arena nuker in this game. So let me quickly show you guys my Tronda's gear. Alright, so well, my suggestion to most players when you're gearing a nuker on your account is you should try to use attack boots. Like across your entire account, you only need to gear 1 champion in attack boots. So I think it should be doable for most players. And just push attack and crit damage, and that's it. Do not build any resist or accuracy. Alright, so I think now you guys are wondering like, what champion in this game hits harder than Tronda? There are actually 2 champions that hits harder than Tronda in this game. And that is not Seer, obviously, okay? So the number 2 is actually gonna be an epic, which might be a little bit surprising, right? That is Kaitis. I think the first ever official raid video I made on my channel, I just kind of showcased my Kaitis earlier this year. The skill I'm talking about is his A3 here. Well, I don't really consider this as a secret skill because it is going to be available when this champion lost 50% of his HP, which means if he's under 50% of his HP, this is usable. So I don't really think this is secret skill. So I think when Kaitis are below 35% of HP, this skill start to hit harder than Trunda's A3. And at 30% HP, this skill will have 11 damage multiplier, which is insane. But the only downside is he has very low base attack, so I have to consider that as well, right? And if Kaitis is at 1% HP, this skill is going to have 13.5 damage multiplier, which is the highest damage multiplier in this entire game. And he is an epic champion, but like the only problem is you gotta find a way to get her HP lower than 50%. So like in arena, Cardinal is the best candidate, which means I think I showcased it very long time ago. So basically you want your Kaitis to die and your Cardinal just revive him, and he's at 30% HP, and this skill will become usable. So yeah. Alright, so finally, the hardest hitting AoE ability in the entire game is from Orc faction. I think that champion is one of Hell Hades' favorite champion. Like, I've been watching Hell Hades for a very long time, so I know this is his favorite champion. That's Rollbar. Can you believe it? He's actually the hardest hitting AoE champion in this game. That is his A3 here. So this actually has a base multiplier of 4.2, which is not that crazy, right? And you can book it up to have like 25% increased damage. But if the targets are under sleep, stun, and freeze, the damage of this skill pretty much just doubles. And you will have like over 10 damage multiplier. And this hits harder than Kaitis because he has very good base attack. Like this 1619 base attack is higher than Trunda's base attack. So if you book this, if you book Rollbar and you put a very good Savage set on him, and you're using this against targets under sleep, stun, or freeze, you can pretty much one-shot anyone, and you can AoE one-shot anyone in this game. That's how crazy Rollbar is actually. But it's kind of difficult because in arena, maybe even if you use Kaimar sleep the enemy, but when Rollbar gets a turn, enemy just awakes, right? So that could be a problem because Rollbar has super low base speed. I think this is probably the second lowest base speed as a legendary champion. The lowest base speed is obviously Mountain King. I think this is second lowest base speed in this game. So I think if Plarium just buffs his base speed a little bit, he's actually gonna become usable in arena. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I just want to make an educational video to show you guys which champion has the hardest hitting AoE ability in the game. I know number 1 and number 2 might be a little bit surprising for most people. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!